installation of the McGard premium tailgate lock, item number 76029. Just received this in the mail yesterday, and I'm going to install it today. You can see the packaging there. This is all what it came with. This part was attached to the back side of this. Then we have our registration, mail-in registration form, sticker here. You have your key code stickers. They give you a bunch of stickers, one to put on the registration if you're doing a mail-in, one to stick in your vehicle, whatever. Then they give you a little pamphlet here with other items that they also sell. Then it came with a couple of adapters. This is the Ford adapter. Looks like it's for the newer F-150s from what I've seen in the instructions. And this is the GM adapter that goes on the passenger side hinge cup. Then we have our actual unit here. Then we have the key, and it has a little rubber O-ring on it that goes into the recessed pocket, and it has a star type lock system, kind of like you see on some lug nuts on some vehicles, aftermarket. Then a dust cap that'll go in to cover the recess hole so you don't get mud and dirt in there, and so it won't give you a hard time if you go to take this off. Now, this unit isn't something that I would recommend to put on your vehicle if you have to take the tailgate on and off on a frequent basis, because you do have to put this in and you got to wind it and screw it down. This is basically a like a worm gear clamp is what it is. It's a little different style. It doesn't have the holes in it like the little slots like the standard hose or worm gear hose clamps that you see in auto parts stores or whatever. This one, they actually dimple, they must machine press it, and they press little slots into it, so it's like three-dimensional basically. It's pressed into it, so they press out like teeth into this, and it doesn't seem to be I don't know if it's metal or stainless. If it is stainless, it's a lower grade stainless, because I did put a magnet on it. And I'll grab the magnet here, and this has a little, just a little tool I got. It has a little magnet in the bottom there. If I can find this online, I'll put a link to the description, a link of it in the description of the video. This is basically a magnetic retractor. It extends out, and then it has there's a little notch right here for opening bottle caps, and then your magnet, and you got a little claw. It's also a good back scratcher too, or for retrieving parts or whatever. But pretty strong magnet. As you can see, it grabbed that real easy. That's full-on metal there, the key. It's not real strong on the clamp. I can't pick it up with it, but there is some magnetism there, so it leads me to believe it's a lower grade stainless maybe. It does have the sheen of a stainless steel look to it. That's why I'm guessing it's probably stainless, but a lower grade. So it's not going to be 100% rust proof. It's maybe like a 409 or something like that, stainless maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. So anyway, yeah, that's what they give you. I'm not too overly impressed with the, I mean, granted, it's a $20-something unit, you know, at the time I'm purchasing it. Says McGard on it, kind of pressed into it, molded. I thought it was going to be like black painted aluminum or pot metal or something like that. It's not. It appears to be some fiber impregnated plastic or something is what it looks like to me. It's not magnetic at all, so I'm assuming it's a plastic. It feels like plastic. If I tap it with another metal item, it doesn't have that tingy sound. It just sounds like plastic to me when you tap it with something. So yeah, I'm not too overly impressed with that. But any deterrent is better than no deterrent to keep somebody from stealing your tailgate. Like I said, this isn't that expensive, 20 something bucks or whatever. You can get a regular, hose clamp and put it on there. Even that would be a deterrent, better than nothing. That could be the matter of them stealing your tailgate or not stealing your tailgate. If they have to take the time to take that worm gear hose clamp off, even if it's just a regular one, still requires extra tools and extra time that they may not have depending on the situation and where you're parked and what time of day or night it is and all that good stuff. It may be just enough deterrent to save your tailgate from being stolen, even with a $2 hose clamp. So that could be an option for you. I chose this option because I wanted a little bit more security. And there is another, at least there's one other option that I've seen out there, which is made by Master Lock. And it's a whole different kind of lock system, but for those of you that are needing to take your tailgate off on a frequent basis for some reason, it just kind of looks like a C, and it just slides over the top of it, and then it has a long piece on it with a ratcheting type slide mechanism that slides in, and it has a slight curve to it, so it kind of clamps onto around the curvature of the hinge pocket there to lock it in. So that's a quick, that Master Lock one, it's more expensive, but it's a quick release mechanism. Like I said, it's a matter of just putting the key in, turning the key, sliding the clamping mechanism back, and it comes right off. But with this here, it's more of a permanent installation. Requires a lot more time to put on and take off. But the advantage of this that I like is you can put it on and it's not going to scratch your paint up or anything. It's plastic. It's got a rubbery covering on the hose clamp, and basically I'm calling it a hose clamp. And as you tighten it down, it's going to tighten on there snugly and not flop around on the hinge cup as you're opening and shutting the tailgate. It's not going to rattle around as you're driving down the road and make any kind of noise. It's going to be tight on there and stay still. Whereas I've seen some videos on the Master Lock version, and they give you little foamy pads to stick on there so it don't scratch the paint and it don't rattle, allegedly. So that's something to be aware of with that. But if you need to take your tailgate on and off frequently, then that Master Lock might be something for you. Like I said, this is more to my liking. I've never taken my tailgate off, not once, ever. And I've owned 4 trucks. I'm on my 4th truck now. And I've never once ever had to take a tailgate off for any reason whatsoever. I'll take that back. Once I took a tailgate off of my 3rd truck when I was putting on an LED light, the tailgate light that I mounted between the bumper and the bottom of the tailgate, and I mounted it on the bed, the edge of the bed. But if you plan for that in advance, you do that. If you do need to take your tailgate off, do that before you put the tailgate back on and put a lock on it. And then you'll never have to take that lock off if you don't have to take your tailgate off for any other reason other than that one time I did it. And that was just to do work on putting the light on, the LED light. But other than that, I've never had to take a tailgate off for any reason, and I don't intend to. So that's why I went with this version of this. Okay, so moving on here. Here's the instructions they give you. bunch of applications here. This is a universal kit. It's supposed to fit like 99% of the trucks out there. You can see Chevy, Dodge, Ford, GMC, Lincoln, Nissan, Toyota, all the major brands. And then I did cut this. They give you this little measuring strip that wraps around the passenger side cup, and then if this side overlaps any of these markings here, you can see there's a scale 1 to 11, then you can see what the corresponding number is on the line. And then on the actual unit here, it's got the same thing. You could see might be hard to see, my camera won't focus, but it's got the lines, and then there are actually numbers on there on the left hand side, which my camera can't focus on them, they're too small, but they are there. And so yeah, then you can cut it on the corresponding line, and I guess that's so when you tighten it down, as this rubber piece comes around, it can only go so far before it hits the other rubber piece. So it just makes it where it's, 360 degree coverage of the rubber piece around the hinge cup. So that's pretty cool. Keep you from scratching the paint up and stuff, from any noise or rattling or anything else. So that's kind of cool. And you can see here there's different applications. I'll be reading this instruction for my truck. It's full size trucks. Mine's a 2011, so we look here. My camera's kind of, my flash is washing it out a little bit. 1997 to 2014, so I fall in that range, so I'll be reading these instructions. Doesn't say anything about using the strip for my truck. And so I shouldn't need that for that. So yeah, it looks pretty basic how to install this. And then there's other instructions here for General Motors. A couple of vehicles there. Then they're showing you which cup you need to use for these applications, and they're showing you how to put it on. Obviously not the Ford one, you need the General Motors. But in reading these instructions, I noticed when I looked at this side, and I only glanced over this for a minute, and I noticed Ford F-150, this is a 2015-2016 models that this covers, which obviously their hinge, the hinges must be a little smaller, I'm guessing, or bigger, or something a little bit different on the 15 and 16, I guess, than the older ones, because they're showing using the cup on there. But what I noticed right away when you look down in here, it looks like they messed this part up. They got the Ford crossed out, and they're showing you using the General Motors. The crossed out part should have been over here, and this should have been showing you to use that one. So yeah, I don't know why somebody didn't catch that typo there, but I did. So anyway, and then in the instructions I seen they're talking about 40 inch-pounds of torque, not to over tighten, because obviously you could strip out the worm gear clamp in there. And then so moving on to other instructions here, this is compact mid-size. You can see the vehicles that covers, and then the instructions there. So, and it looks like it's going to be 40 inch-pounds probably on everything, I'm guessing, because they're showing it here too, 40 inch-pounds. And what I'm going to be using is, as I didn't say, but I did try to pre-fit this just to see how it was going to fit, and I noticed an issue that when I went to tighten it down on there, it was binding up inside here. The edge of the worm gear clamp, It was kind of a sharp edge. It was catching, I guess, the plastic inside of there somewhere down in there, and it was catching it, and it wasn't letting me tighten it anymore. It was, the end of that was bottoming out against the plastic, and it was stopping it from tightening up on the hinge cup on the bed, on the tailgate, I mean. So I took some needle nose pliers and just grabbed this and just gave it an ever so slight bend inward, ever so slight. I mean, almost not even there. You know, more just to keep the sharp edge away from grabbing that plastic. But I also have a little pick tool in case I need to get in there and pick it and try to free it from catching on the plastic, so it'll tighten up the rest of the way. So I got the pick tool just in case I need it. I got a 6-inch extension here, 3/8 extension, 6-inch. That's just my preference, so I can use it like a handle, screwing it in. And then I have a 3/8 to 1/4-inch drive, and that will go right into the key. The key has a 1/4-inch drive, so that will go right on there, as you can see. So I'm going to use that. And you could even use it like this and turn it, and you get a little bit more leverage on there than just trying to turn it on the knurled part. So I'm going to try that, see how that works, just so I can turn it in hand tight, and then use the extension. And I have a 3/8 torque wrench here, just a generic 3/8 torque wrench, but it does read foot-pounds and inch-pounds on the other side. So I'll be setting it to 40 inch-pounds because I have a habit of over-tightening stuff. This way I won't have to worry about over-tightening it. I'll do it to their specs. So that should be all you need. Yeah, and I had to do this inside because I'm in Florida. It's too windy outside to blow this stuff everywhere, paperwork. So now I'm going to go outside and we're going to see how this goes. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I've popped the tailgate off on this side. I took a piece of PVC that I had laying around, just kind of stuck it in there just to hold the tailgate back. The tailgate's, this side of it's resting on the bumper. Bumper's plastic, so I shouldn't have any issues with it scratching the paint or anything. I was gentle. Just so I can show you how this goes. Doing this one-handed here, but you're supposed to undo the warm gear clamp, obviously, all the way with the key, with the little key tool they give you, and then you slip it, or you obviously got to do this with the tailgate in place, and you're going to slip this around there, and once it goes around, then you have to make sure that it gets into, it's got to go into the slot here. And it's hard for me to do this one-handed, but it's got to go around and get into the slot, and you got to get it in there. And once you have it in there, and obviously you're doing this with the tailgate in place, otherwise you won't be able to slip it in because you'll hit this trying to slip it into the groove. And then once you get it in there, then you probably want to lift up on it where you can get your finger there and push that up as you start that key. And once you get it to grab, then you can bring it down like this in a more comfortable position and tighten it down with the key, which will go like this. And you got to spin it and make sure it just dropped in. Now I'm locked in. I'm locked into the star pattern security bit there. I'm locked into it. I live by an airport, so I keep getting airplanes flying over. I gotta pause the video every time. So anyway, okay, so that's how you're gonna do it, and it looks like I'll be able to tighten this down by hand, and you know, get it snug, and then use my torque wrench and my extension if I need it. And once I get it where I start feeling it snug up, where it doesn't have any play on it, then I'll bring this up and I'll make it probably level like that, just so it looks more appealing. I'll make it level and more square to the bed like this. I think it'd look better that way than having it like that. So that's the way I'm going to do it. That's probably not going to have much of a choice, because as I tighten it down, this is going to come down more and end up probably almost sitting on top of the tailgate anyway. It's going to be very close to just sitting on it, if not totally sitting on it. So there may not be many option and adjustment there, but we'll see how it goes as I get this on. I just wanted to pull the bed away so you can get an idea actually what is going on here with the lock. And the whole point of this is because this strap wrapping around the back here keeps anybody from being able to slide the tailgate up off of the I'll show you from this side. And there it is right there. That's your, and it's pretty I can't even turn it by hand because it's so tight. I mean, it's really tight. I can't turn it by hand. Actually, I don't even think it does turn. No, I'm mistaken. That doesn't turn at all. That's stationary. So that, I thought it did turn, but it doesn't. That's stationary part of this. It looks like it turns, but it doesn't. It's part of the mount bracket. They do make another mount another security thing I seen, that you take this bolt out, and it's a little piece of metal that comes down, and then it's got like a arch that just sits over the top, but it doesn't touch the bucket, the hinge cup. It just sits over it, and that also keeps them from pulling the bed off too. But it looked kind of flimsy metal to me, like it could be bent, just bent out of the way. So I didn't want to go that route, but that is a third option I did see. I thought this was the best option for me. So yeah, you see that it has two flats on it that obviously correspond to this. And what it is, this is the part that spins right here. So when you, let's move this out of the way. When you turn your tailgate up and down, then this cup will move, and that's what it does. It spins. So you can see there, as you put your bed up, this cup spins, and so the insert's stationary. The cup is stationary with the tailgate, and that insert stays stationary on the other piece I showed you there with the two flats that's attached to the bed. So as you lift the tailgate up and down, this cup is spinning with the tailgate and riding on this insert piece right here. And that just feels like a plastic rubbery insert. It must have a little I can't pull it out, so it must have a molded on little male part that snaps into a hole back in the middle there, because I can't just pull it out. And they must make it that way so if you pull your tailgate off, this doesn't just fall out of the cup and get lost, which is pretty smart. But obviously it's designed where you got to lift the tailgate at roughly a 45-degree angle or so. They do give you a little bit of play because the opening in the cup is slightly bigger than the opening in this plasticky rubbery piece here, where it slides on to the corresponding piece on the truck. So, but that's it. When you get your tailgate at that right angle, 45 degrees or whatever it is, and slide it off, this just stays like that. But then when you put it back on and you lift your tailgate up or down, the outer metal cup is spinning with the tailgate on the insert there. So that's how it works. But then in this piece here is clamping around this to keep the other part from sliding out of here, or this from sliding off the other part that's attached to the truck, and that prevents your tailgate from getting stolen. So that's how that works. Obviously I put this upside down. It goes it goes this way, and then your key goes in there, and you spin it till it locks. And you'll see when this comes down and hooks into the corresponding security mechanism, because you'll see it drop down. So pay attention to that, and you will see it drop down, and you'll feel it lock in. And you want to make sure it's locked in the whole time you're trying to turn it. So there you go, and that's my best explanation of how this thing works. and I'm going to get this installed on the truck, and I'll show you the finished product. Okay, so I got it on there. I did have a little bit of difficulty in that when I was tightening it down, the end of that clamp did hit the plastic and started binding. So I took my pick and I tried to get in there down from this side when it was loose and hook it, and I wasn't having much success. So I went ahead and got out my 3/8 drive ratchet and put it on the 6-inch extension with the adapter and using the key, obviously. And I started going at it slowly, and I felt it break free, and it broke free of its little bind there. But you got to be careful if you run into that problem. You don't want to strip it out or anything. But I got it and kept on going, no problem. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see because the sunlight's out full force. There you go. You can see I got it installed here. It is tight. There's no play in it whatsoever. It's not going to rattle around or anything like that, and that's all you see of it right there from the side. Is just a little bit of it. You probably could adjust it and put it down a little more. There's a little room under here. It could probably sit down a little further. I chose to put it more flush up there like that. Obviously you don't want to turn it and have it sticking out, because that could cause interference problems when you go to shut it. So you do want it in that manner, like that. And I did use my torque wrench, and I realized my torque wrench only goes down to 60 foot-pounds. So I went below the bottom of the scale down to where it wouldn't go anymore, and it looked closer to 50 or 40 foot-pounds at the bottom of my scale, even though I was off the scale. And I still used it to make sure I at least wasn't going over that, so I wouldn't strip it out. So I did, and I did it, and I didn't even click it. I didn't even do it till it clicked, because it felt plenty tight to me, and I didn't want to overdo it. So you don't want to overdo it. So that's where we're at with it. It's in there, it's snug. It should hopefully be a deterrent. I'm not going to say somebody hasn't devised a way to defeat these and maybe pry bar it off of there or something, but any deterrent's better than no deterrent. A thief might see that and just walk away, you know, and they'll go on to the next easier target, because that's what it's all about. They want to get in and out, hit the easy targets, and move on. So I'm going to try not to be a target here by doing that. And then the last step is just to take your little dust cap here and just pop it on like that. And it's got a little tab so you can pull it off nice and easily. Me personally, I'd rather than just have a little plastic plug instead of, well, that's plastic, but I mean a harder plastic plug that you put in there. That would be a whole lot harder to get out, or you'd have to have a pick or something to get in there and pop it out, you know, just to make it a little bit more theft proof or whatever. So but anyway, so yeah, that's it right there. That's the whole deal. So please like and subscribe to my video, and I'll try to put some links in the description for this and various tools. Thanks a lot.